Hello, people. Guess who I have back here? I got Robert Russo, Convict Inc.
Rosso.
Rosso, I'm sorry. Hey, listen, I'm kind of popular for not announcing names correctly.
It's all right. It's all right. Me too.
Danny was supposed to be here, but we're doing this earlier. Then Danny had his motor blow on his pool, so he's not a happy guy right now. And when Danny gets a little bit like with the pool and stuff, I stay out of his way. He might jump on, he may not, but this is important. I wanted to do this with Robert no matter what. So, Robert, what I wanted to ask you was you came here, you did the interview with us last time.
Yes.
So what do you think about this mob tube since you came here in the last couple months, everything you've seen and stuff?
Wow. Wow. So what do I think? So, okay. And this might be a little repetitive because some people might have heard this. I never knew. I knew that there was like people that did mob shows. I never paid too much attention to them. The first time I ever became aware was after I did the Calandra video, the first one. And Jeff Nadeau, who I was talking to frequently back then, he got a hold of me and he said, Robert, look, there's going to be a guy named FBS that's going to attack you. He's Jimmy's friend. And I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. He's like, don't get involved in it. You don't want to go down that road. But I mean, he was given like good advice as a friend, I then watched FBS and sure enough, he took off on me. And I'm like, oh, no, I want to go on his show. So like I hit him in the chat room and I like tried to go on the show, like even up until like last week. But okay, what do I think? So it's been bittersweet, right? So so that's what got me into it was the first Calandra video. The second one that came unexpectedly, within 24 hours of the first one. And then I started learning about some people, and I still don't know the back beefs. Like I still don't know like why FBS and Angel don't get along. Like to this day, I don't know. I don't know where Johnny Mac's at, but I don't know how SoFlo popped up or there's a lot more people than that, but these are just the ones I'm thinking of.
Yeah. You got your smaller shows, and you got your okay shows like myself and
sure.
Yeah. And then you got Jimmy Calandra, which is a very it's getting bigger. We're not in his league, of course, but FBS and I started this about a year ago, and we've come a long way. But now we're not talking at all, so we're basically probably never going to talk again. It's probably the best thing for both of us.
So I know that you guys like yesterday or the day before, last couple of days they've been hating on, but I don't even know why. Like I don't know nothing about that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. We don't have to go into that.
I don't want to go into that because you know what? It's out there. I'd rather go into you.
Okay, so so it's been bittersweet. So here's the upside. A lot of new contacts. I mean, a lot like good contacts for the Rolodex. Like for future stuff outside of MobTube. And of course, one day off the top of my head, I popped up and said like, "Don't be a Jimmy." That was just boom, and that has just gone crazy.
So tell me something about that "Don't Be a Jimmy" movement, the meaning behind it, right to the point.
So it was just like, don't be a rat. Okay, so I had even said there's like informants, cooperators. Okay, that I was trying to say there's different levels of rats. Like the lowest form is like a scumbag rat. And I know that might not make sense, but here's my position. I'm a civilian now. I'm not a drug dealer anymore or a criminal, okay? I mean, I spent my whole life in prison, basically. I've got a lot of great friends that I care about that are in prison. But looking at it from a civilian point of view, I'm pro law enforcement. I'm pro military. We need cooperate. We need people that cooperate. Okay, I know people hate that, but it's true. And I'm not saying like to run around and just cooperate so you can go out and keep dealing drugs. I mean, I even think that there should be some kind of informant law, but that's a whole different story. But when I saw Calandra, and I really started studying him, and I started studying him because I did the first video, and then it was just like I saw all the good guy Jimmy stuff, and I saw the reasons he was giving for being a rat, and a lot of these guys that have snitched or cooperated, whatever, they give these crazy justifications rather than just tell the truth. Like either say like, man, I was facing life, I couldn't do that, or like they come up with all these crazy excuses. And Jimmy portrays himself as somebody who changed his life, yet when he decided to cooperate, like he scurried out of the unit. And you know, I can't put myself in his shoes.
What do you
on
mean
that.
he scurried out of the unit?
So what happened was there was a diversion created. So he was trying to work out a deal. He was in the cell block for Brits, and you know, they're Bath Avenue guys, they're tight. And from so Fabrizio was like called over here for something, and they came and got Jimmy and got his stuff, like went to get his property, and like got him out. Like a bunch of cops brought him out, and you know, his dude said, "Hey, where are you going?" And he's like, "Oh, I got bond." They didn't have bond. There was no bond for him. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is this.
Well, let me ask you, Fabrizio, he was there with him, and he wound up being there until now, right?
He's still in, yeah.
So he pretty much took his medicine and stayed and didn't rat, and then someone got scurried out. That's basically what happens. That's how they do it with rats.
Yeah. So, but okay. So Jimmy's thing is like I decided, like, they killed my friend Paulie G, and I decided to turn my life around. This no, he did it because he didn't want to do the time. He probably did it also because he didn't want Tommy Reynolds to. Him and Tommy never were together after the incident in the hotel room. That was coming. Like guys, that was coming at some point. You know what I mean? That he was gonna have to deal with that at some point. So I'm sure it was a whole bunch of things, but so what happened? It was the justifications. It was the good guy Jimmy act. It was I'm from a good family. They're from a bad. They're cocaine. Look, he was on crack, and this one, and was always like distancing himself. I didn't kill nobody. When Judith was killed accidentally by Tommy, I almost got hit. You know, it was a collective of all those, and it was just like, and I don't even know the first time I said it. It's like, don't be a Jimmy. like don't own it. Just don't be a fucking Jimmy. Don't be like that kind of a rat. Like one that's weaseling has to make up all these things for it. And
let me ask you a question. You knew Tommy Reynolds, right?
You were very well.
And now, in general, what was Tommy Reynolds' opinion of Jimmy Calandra?
Man, I'm going to tell you, Lee, listen, Tommy didn't like run around like that fucking rat, that scumbag. Now, I'm not saying he never said that. And matter of fact, the story what I just said about when he got whisked out of the pot, I remember hearing about that from him. You know, he's like that fucking rat. You know, he's kind of like laughing about it. But when he told stories, like he told them like Jimmy and Paulie and this and that, you know, so he didn't like belittle and just smash the guy constantly. He did not. And that's why when I first saw Jimmy talking, there were some stories that he was telling. And like, no bullshit, I felt like this connection to the guy because I'm like, wow, man, like I heard that from Tommy. And before he even would say it, I knew what he was going to say. I reached out to him, you know, I'm like, hey, blah, 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 blah. Like, and he said, hey, what's up? Like he reached out back. Then I talked to Tommy and I realized, okay, well, because I was going to like go on his show. Then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to like, I don't want to do that without talking to Tommy. Because I care about Tommy a lot, you know. And Tommy did not say don't do it, Rob. All he said was, look, whatever you want to do, I think he said, I respect that, stand behind you, however he put it. He said, but this is my problem, Rob. He said, Jimmy says he left that life. Now he's making money off our stories, and then, you know, since then it's like they're not accurate, they're bullshit. He's done this. So that's the beef. But I'm gonna tell you, Tommy, when Tommy comes out, absolutely. So I can't like Fabrizio's family is making it very clear he wants nothing to do with this stuff. Okay.
Right.
Tommy Reynolds is I'm going to have him set up for real. Cause at some point when I grow up, I'll be professional.
and then we got to another level. I mean, yeah. we had some beefing going back between you, Jimmy Calandra, and his basically, I guess, I don't know what you call him. I guess his
underboss.
Yeah, his underboss, maybe we'll call him underboss or whatever they are, the ones that worship the ground he walks on. So we got them, and then you came on my show, and you had that whole incident that happened, and we'll talk about that too. But I want to know, then then you got into this little battle and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Tommy Pitera came into the picture. Not Tommy, I'm sorry.
Tommy Karate.
Tommy Karate, yeah. Tommy Karate came into the picture. And then Tommy Karate seemed a little bit aggravated and wrote letters. And just so you know, you've gotten 2 letters from him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And those letters have been compared to other letters written by him to a few people, and they've been confirmed. And I know 2 people that confirmed those letters. So those letters you got are 100% from Tommy Karate. And so I like to say, what did the letters in general say about what's going on out here with Jimmy Calandra?
Oh, so here's the deal with Tommy. So he hasn't talked to media and stuff like that. I didn't just reach out to him when I got out. One of his family, you can say, or whatever, somebody close to him reached out to me when I said something good about him, and I don't even know what show it was on or whatever. And then that's when he reached out, and I'm like, man, I got to write him. I kept telling myself I got to write him. So then I started getting closer with this person that he knew. It's a girl that he was with. He had a kid with when he was very young, and it's the kid's uncle. Okay. So this guy's a really smart guy, and we started just talking on other issues, nothing to do with Tommy. And we became, started talking pretty much every Sunday for a while, it seemed like. So then Tommy calls him, and then I started getting messages back and forth. And there was this, he wanted a statement put out through this person. And I backed up, I was going to do it. And then I'm like, wait, I forgot what the statement was. So I wrote him, and I said, Tommy, listen, here's the deal. This is what so-and-so said. Okay, no problem. If there's anything else you want to say, say to me. So he's monitored, he's high profile guy. So that I know of, you just told me about a guy he corresponds with. So I refer to them as the karate camp. And when I say the karate camp, that is one, there's a guy that sells his paintings. I'm not going to say everybody's name. There's 1, 2, 3. So there's 4 total. Okay. So this is people he talks to on a weekly basis that I know of. I've never asked about other people. So if I talk to any one of those 4 people, or he says, it's that's coming from him, because everybody knows it in that area.
And I like to say one thing. People, Tommy Karate, if you go to Instagram, you can put Tommy Karate's name in, Pitera, and his artwork shows up, and it's always for sale. And I just want to let people know that, because I know it's kind of high price stuff, but it is like an infamous mafia guy. So if you're interested, go check Instagram out and go look at his art. It's really good.
Yeah, good.
I checked it out. It's really good stuff.
That's cool.
I wish I could afford it, at least 1 piece, but I don't have that kind of money.
So I'm going to tell you the truth. I've seen a piece, but I haven't priced it. I haven't seen it. I gotta have him do "Don't Be a Jimmy." For sure.
So here's a guy who's very busy, but he wanted to write about Jimmy. And what was his opinion about this whole thing? What's going on with Jimmy out here? His stories he's telling. He said
furious.
Yeah.
So so it's obvious that Jimmy is okay. When you put Tommy Karate and do anything about him, you're going to get a bunch of hits. Okay, let's just call it like it is. So because Tommy is from that area, and Jimmy and those guys grew up around him, and he admits, he talks about in the letter, Paulie was under him. Paulie G was under him. Because they grew up around him, I guess I assume that Jimmy just felt it was okay to just use his name whenever he talks about all these different things. He didn't know the guy that. None of that happened, and I didn't even realize that at first, because I said, I've said this over and over, Lee. I've been around so many of these mob guys, but I don't know the goings on of what happened. I hear stories, but I can pick up for example, I was around Fat Sal Scalia when John Gotti and they had Big Paul killed. I know what happened there because I've talked to Sal, even though I thought Sal's gun got jammed and that was supposed to be. But anyway, but I don't know, I didn't know stuff to ask these guys when I was around them, nor did I care. My point.
Tommy Pitera said he never met him.
No, he said that he might might have said, "Hey, kid." So what he said was, when Fabrizio came to Allenwood, Fabrizio walked up and introduced himself and said, "Hey, We met you at a pizza place once more, like they're like 15,
Right.
you know? Now, again, he did know Pauly G. Like I said, he did. And I actually haven't asked like the whole detail, but he's not going to bullshit about something like that. I don't know if if you want to know like who Tommy Karate is, watch A View from Mulberry Street. Matt Mary. That was his attorney. I had made the comment that I would let Tommy Karate come here on a compassion release and watch my grandkids. I mean that. Matt Mary did. Tommy babysat his 3-year-old daughter whenever during the highlight of his career, you know. That's what so he's not one to lie. And Sammy the Bull has reached out to the guy that does the painting, that distributes the painting for Tommy, and like sent his love. And he said specifically, one thing for sure about Tommy Karate, he does not lie. Okay. Now, I said that on my video. I'd never try to reach out to Sammy. In full disclosure, they've reached out to me. His camp, not Sammy. And they said that he wanted to talk to me, but I haven't heard back. Will I hear back? I don't know. And I'm not, you know, but that happened. Yes.
And so Pitera pretty much, give me an example of some of the things that he said.
So there was no sit down over Jimmy. After there was a shooting where Jimmy went like to a different borough and the other kid went to Italy. I forgot the guy's name. But Jimmy says like I don't want to put words in his mouth. In a nutshell, like I guess Pauly G went to Tommy Karate and they had like a sit down over the whole matter to get the issue resolved. So then Jimmy can come back in the neighborhood. Didn't happen. That's why Tommy did the first letter and talked about La Cosa Nostra rules. You know, I'm sure he wasn't just thrilled about putting that out. He's trying to make a point. Listen, this is how it has to happen. And I don't know if it was Michael Francis. If Michael Francis goes under an M, I don't know. Somebody wrote, because he specifically told me to reach out to Michael Francis and Sammy the Bull. I didn't need neither one of them, but other people said they did. I mean, I'd actually talk to Francis one day because I can confirm something that you said. I don't know if it was Michael Francis. Somebody said like my good friend Tommy Karate, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I almost thought it was from Michael. I don't know if it was, but the guys that knew him, he wasn't a bullshitter. Like he's not going to come out and start bashing Jimmy right now because Jimmy's telling the truth and he doesn't like Jimmy. Look, he told me to reach out to Sammy the Bull. They had a relationship. Think about that. Tommy Karate in the beginning, they thought he had 37 bodies. Okay. That's what they originally thought. And they said, you can walk if you testify against John Gotti. No. Okay. Compared to Sammy. And then but Sammy and Tommy had a relationship at once upon a time. So Tommy, when he's asking me to reach out to Sammy, he's talking about a guy that he knew that he knows is a big in the genre or whatever, doing his thing, that would confirm something like that. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, think about that. That's kind of a big thing for Tommy to reach out and say, hey, contact Sammy. You know what I mean? Right. But anyway, so yeah, 100%. Look, he did not know, and it really, really bothers him. And that whole backing up bullshit that Jimmy did about the prison, he got caught. Are we to believe that he did that video, an hour and 20-minute video, where he details about Tommy asking Pauly G to commit a murder on visitation with Jimmy right there? And then I just got under these guys' skin. Stop it. Don't be a Jimmy. That's like an example. So the don't be a Jimmy, I don't know if it's just about don't be a snitch, don't be a rat, or if it's like, don't be a scumbag. Don't be a bad, you know, that's one of the things I'm having an issue with. And yeah.
And you got a couple domains already, don't you?
I got don'tbeajimmy.com, don'tbeajimmy.org, and somebody is reaching out trying to buy them from me. So GoDaddy won't let you see the person, but somebody is like inquiring about them. And like I made a statement, I would not come off of those for 100,000 right now. Who knows what's going to happen? I do know I've got people in 3 different countries that want to like be a part of it. I was going to originally, it was just going to be a t-shirt. Then I'm thinking foundation, but I don't know, you know, it's like, so I've got somebody now that wants to do the website. There's I'm talking to a t-shirt person that wants to put some money up.
So there might be a Don't Be a Jimmy Foundation.
Yeah, no bullshit. Yes. But then I'll tell you what. So I've always said my heart's in criminal justice reform, okay? But it's so big. So then I started thinking of, wait a minute, if I can use the proceeds from this, I'd still do a 501c. I'd do a nonprofit. I would take a fee as you know. I mean, I would put every dollar that's spent everywhere because number one of me being in prison all my life. I would never want somebody to come back and question it. And plus the probation department and the government would be just like all on that. Those things are so, I know a lot about them. They're so easy to run scams on those things. So when you start talking about, nonprofits, there's people that just make a living off doing that. Only 20% of the money has to go to a cause, So it's crazy.
Exactly.
Oh, it's crazy. It's bullshit. But I started thinking about doing something that would help the anti-Jimmies in prison. But let me figure it out. I've been through the last couple of days. Today I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I've been doing interviews, YouTube lawyer, from Benny Geritano to a CEO that's just wow. A big story, some big stories coming out. Yeah. We'll see.
So you're staying real busy, but in a way you're having some issues with probation because you could only go so far and they're trying to, what's going on there? Only tell me as much as you can.
Sure. No. Okay. No. So probation actually, no, it actually ties into family issues that I have. Okay. And there's people that have watched me that know I've got like some really bad stuff going on with family members that live in this little small town. And that is, it all started over real estate. And it's to the point to like where the relationships are irreconcilable, evicting sister. I've lashed out on Facebook because I don't have money. My family does to get lawyers and try to stop stuff with the real estate. Anyway, probation, my sister's on probation. She's been on probation. We have the same probation officer in the same probation office. And she started trying to put me in prison. So my family's made statements saying I'm involved in cartel activity, that I've been on drugs, blah, blah, blah. And so then the YouTube stuff. My judge watches. So he originally, from what I was told, was really impressed and wanted to meet me. This is before there was any kind of incidents that went crazy with the family. And then I started the mob tubes. Then I jumped in that. So it's not my PO. It's the senior one, and they're not bad guys. I'm not saying that. They tie it to rehabilitation.
Right.
All the chaos that you're doing on here, it's part of your chaotic behavior, and it's like part of your relapsing behavior. That's what it's been tied to.
If you want to get better, coming into mob tube, it's not the smartest thing, but it's kind of, the first time I spoke to you, I remember something you said to me. Oh, I'll debate all you guys 10 at one time.
Yeah.
I think you kind of underestimated.
No, I still would. Here's the problem. Lee, here's the problem. And I'm going to repeat this, and I'm going to say this over and over again. There's nobody that puts dirt out on Robert Rosso more than myself. Like, if you want to know bad stuff about me, go start from the first video, and you can find some stuff that you can just slam me with, right? I know that when I said, and I said it before your show, that I sat at a Chomo table. It was actually it wasn't a full child molester table. It was a bunch of weird.
Would you take that back if you could and say
no? No, I would not.
Okay.
Because look, in most people, okay, so if you're talking about 100%, I would say way over 50% under. I totally know what I mean. And I've even had people that have been sexually molested and raped that are like, don't let these idiots do that. Don't let them stop biting. They're just doing it to blah, blah, blah. But I can understand guys that have been in state prison, guys that have never been in the feds, guys that have been in the feds but have never or were there before or had only been in the USPs. Because it's full of sex offenders. Anyway, but no, And I would do it all over again as far as going to sit at that table despite Joey tested for what he did to me. And I talk about that with Benny Geritano. Benny knows the story, right?
And that's the amazing thing, though. Do you realize that, you knew Persico, you knew Geritano, you knew, you met Tommy Crotty, you met Tommy Reynolds. I mean, do you ever say to yourself, wow, I didn't realize exactly who these guys are? And now that you are out, you're like, wow, these are.
No. When it first, when that first moment came where it was like, man, I know like so many of these guys that these dudes talk about, was when Jeff Nadeau said it, like Robert Rosso was connected. Dude, it's not just Bernie Madoff. Like Ruth Madoff was going to come stay up here on this farm when my mom and dad had it. They were going to hide her up here. Like, no, that's how close I was with Bernie. Like, there was talk about that. That was when he first got busted. And
didn't Persico say that he wanted to meet Madoff more than anybody, but pretty much when he met him, it was like an awe of him?
No. Wait, no. Here's what happened with Carmine he wanted, so he sent Bernie a care package when Bernie walked into Butner, okay? So Carmine had Stevie Miolakis from New York / Maine, and a guy, what was his name, Drew. So Carmine fills up a bag, sends it to him. Hey, this is from Persico. Carmine wasn't going to go to Bernie. He wasn't. So he was still the Podfather. But
Carmine Persico didn't go to nobody. You come to him. Is that?
Yeah, he still had that. But and he didn't do it like an outright. You come to me. That's not. But it was, on the down low. But they met in the hospital. And I'll tell you what, that was a moment. There was a guy named Eddie, I forget his name. He was out of North Carolina. Real country guy. He was actually Joey Testa's cellie when Joey left. And he was sitting next to me, and it was in the hospital. And Bernie walks in, sees Carmine, and walks up and said, hey, Mr. Persico, Bernie Madoff, whatever. And they that was like a moment. Like, I wish I had a camera. You know what I mean? Plus, Inside Addiction's running nonstop Bernie stuff. They're offering prisoners $10,000 for photos, IDs of Bernie at the time, And by the way, Carmine and Bernie were both on a Saturday morning. Carmine's the one that said it. He didn't do pictures either. He wasn't a picture guy. He said, Robert, look, because he knew I had Convict Inc, the website, and I was defending Bernie. The New York Post would put bad stuff out about him, and I would correct the record in the style in which I do when I do my little quirky videos sometimes. So I was just bashing the New York Post, They were my Jimmy. Right? So Carmine said, we need to take a picture. He goes, as a matter of fact, go tell Jonathan Pollard, the Israeli spy. He was told Bernie, go tell. So the three of them were going to take a photo with me for Convict Inc. And they stopped letting Bernie take photos that day.
Really?
Yeah.
Getting back to Madoff, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Now, here's this guy. He's a billionaire. He's living in the ivory tower. All of a sudden, he's in prison. How did that man handle prison?
What? Awesome. I've never seen a new fish come into prison with a smile on their face, like they were walking in Disneyland. It was crazy. I was a law library clerk. I was behind, so there's like a little room, and you can see out of the room. And I'm doing an article probably for Convict Inc website at the time. And there was a guy that I've known for a long time, black dude named Abdi. It's Muhammad is what everybody calls him. Abdul Raziz Muhammad from Kentucky. And he's like George Brown. But anyway, and he's like, man, there's that Ponzi scheme. What the hell is he smiling for? I wouldn't be smiling like that if I lost $60 billion. And I was like, wow. And it was true. And he handled prison well. And there was movies that he wrote letters to his daughter-in-law or some documentaries. Me and Stevie Miolakis gave him the name Uncle Bernie. And the reason is because we always say, hey, where's your uncle? And that's usually referring to Carmine. Hey, tell your uncle, and we just clown like that. And we started saying Uncle Bernie, and that just went all around the prison,
And what was your feelings, your personal feelings about Madoff?
Oh, he was talking, and I don't mean to say this in a bad way. because if you talk about an auto mechanic now, they have to have like computer skills. Like let's say a 70s garage mechanic, you know, just like a normal Joe, right? So when I talked to Bernie, so at that time in my life, I was going through like a political thing where I was doing a lot of reading conservative magazines. And I used to read a lot. Plus I was friends with David Keene. His dad was the president of the NRA. He was there. And he's real a right winger. So we used to talk about politics a lot. Bernie knew very little about politics, very little about current events, wasn't much interested.
When you looked at him, would you say to yourself that this guy he set up some of the most brilliant people and took them for a lot of money?
No, but I knew some financial, there was something called the carry trade. Anyway, it's too common. So Bernie, like there was a financial scheme. So, you know, in prison, guys, there'll be guys that'll come in that are financial guys that'll teach inmates stuff. And it's kind of shady stuff. One of my cellies actually was doing this and making like $30,000 every 90 days or so. Like it was real. Bernie didn't even know about this type of scheme. It's part of the carry trade is what it was.
Right.
But when it came to the NASTEC and when it came to all that, it's like he was in a league way outside of us, you know? So that's when he shined. Yeah, really normal guy. Really normal guy, Lee. That's true.
Well, you went from these street guy gangsters with no education to this man, and they basically all got together in prison.
Yeah.
You would think that Madoff would crumble and cry in his cell every day. He was nothing like that.
Oh, and there was a young black kid, probably wasn't in prison 2 months, and he had his foot in Bernie's chair. Bernie told him to move it. He didn't, and Bernie snatched his ankle and snatched him all the way out of the chair. Like, you know, and this kid was like 22, you know, and some of the black dudes came and stopped it. But like there was rumors that he got beat up. When I was there, he actually had blood pressure medication that they screwed up on. He had injuries consistent with somebody that fell down. I mean, that got beat up, you know, he didn't. I mean, I know guys that were there. He didn't. Now, I don't know later after I left, I heard something else, but I don't know it to be true.
Would guys defend Madoff if someone jumped him and tried to hurt him?
I believe they would in that unit for sure. He was in a really good unit. It was Clemson, small. Yeah, probably. Yeah. And he liked watching the news about himself. He watched Inside Edition. That they were like on him every day. You know, he did.
When you think back to prison,
yeah,
and you have to say to yourself, who out of those guys who really left a special, you know, like an impact on you? And you just found like you still think about that person to this day. Is there, you know, if you had to think about those guys we're discussing?
Probably Carmine.
Really?
Carmine Persico. Because I did more time. So I've had friends that I've done time with the longest. Carmine was the biggest impact because he really was like a father to me. And if you've seen the interview I did with his celly, like there's guys that know that. Yeah, I had my issues with them. Yes, it's true that I got drunk one night and I was going to smother him with the pillow. I mean, look, I've said some things about Carmine that, you know, people got upset about and stuff about the teeth. It's all true. The only thing I've ever really said about Carmine that I felt like was probably crossing the line was with about Alley Boy, because he was telling me some stuff about how he felt. He was worried about Alley Boy. And when you're talking about a mob boss, about another mob boss that's his son, and he's worried about him going out to the West Coast and being extorted, and it's not like my son's a bitch. It's like, man, those gangsters, those white dope fiends are off the hook. You know, that's what. And Carmine went through that at Lompoc, and he was Carmine was a man all the way through. You know,
there's a rumor that started, and a lot of people believe the FBI started for no reason. Well, I don't know if you heard an article that came out that said Persico was a rat. You know Persico.
Okay.
What's your opinion of that article?
I didn't read the article, okay? And I remember a friend, one of the guys that was there, his name is Stevie, was the one that brought it to my attention. Before I say what I thought, I also watched what Michael Francis said. He said, absolutely not, no way. Do I think Carmine Persico was giving up information to the government in an effort to avoid prison time or nothing like that? Absolutely not. This is what, And I know, I'm telling you, this guy was more of a father to me than my dad, not because my dad was bad, because I was in prison all my life. And during that time was probably my biggest growth period as a human, because I did get sober for almost 4 years. I'm not going to say it was because of Carmine, but being around him, and he would also say, like when I went to the 2, when they transferred me to the 2, Carmine said, Robert, I'm so worried you're going to get screwed up on that shit again. Like, and I did, but okay. Lee, I'm going to say this. I believe that a lot of the guys at the top gave information to cops. And this, I'm not saying that he was an FBI informant. This is what I think. They had a lot of cops on the take, right? They paid him or whatever. And I think that they did. Michael Francis talks about it. Like they worked with law enforcement to get the son of Sam, like type of thing. Okay. So I think that he had relationships with some law enforcement that maybe it was like something in that manner, like going after a criminal. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
So did he? No, nobody. And look at how he did all his life in prison. And I don't know that. Why do I think that? Because I remember he talked a lot about difference. Look, I didn't ask him about like mob life and stuff. There was things that he said and would talk about, and like things that were known in the paper about Michael Francis when he came out and stuff he said. So like when he shot cops, when he was younger, things that happened when he was younger. And then he would talk, well, this cop was there and this guy was a good cop and blah, blah, blah. And we did. So it would like raise little things in my head, but like, not like this old dude's a snitch. Like I believe a lot of people that are bosses in biker gangs and organized crime, that they do have some sort of relations. That's just my opinion. Don't hate on me. I'm not calling Carmine. I'm not. So that's my personal belief. And because if you got a cop that comes to you and they're like, okay, listen, you're going to give me so much money or we're going to do this, and they're turning, I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, let's go back to you now. You were sitting in prison and you
Yes.
probably never thought you were going to see daylight again. You thought you were going to die in prison. Is that pretty much true?
No. I was a nonviolent drug offender, and I always believed in my heart that I'd get out. There were times that I did not believe that. Okay. So I thought that it was going to come. It wasn't Butner when I had bladder cancer. So I was in the USPs. I was involved in gang stuff. I had 24 shots, violence, drugs, alcohol, and then I got bladder cancer. That they were saying was like going to kill me. Like that. Like one of the urologists, like, oh, it's bad, And they sent me to Butner. And I realized I was like 10 years in at that time. I'm like, if the laws change and I'll never get out, if I keep up this pattern. So I was trying to do more clear conduct, stuff like that. But I did believe I was going to get out one day. It just happened when it happened, Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I just basically wanted to ask you that question because you're an interesting story, because you did get a life sentence. And totally, how many consecutive years did you spend actually in prison?
23 years, 8 months, and 1 day.
Well, to the last day, huh?
Yeah.
That was a big last day, wasn't it?
Yeah, I knew the night before. The case manager called me down, Mrs. Hall, and I had a case manager right before her name. Her name was Mrs. Boo. That was the actual name, and Miss Boo was cool. I was an orderly. She gave me like a really good progress report to help out with the, like he's done fine job, outstanding worker. Miss Hall, they called me in, and I was just about to get in a fight over the phone. This is COVID time. Things were tense, and it was like it was close too. And they called me down, and she told me to shut the door. I'm like, I'm not shutting the door. I'm still like, don't want to be alone with staff, just like that. I don't care about talking to staff, honestly. I didn't later, but it's just, I don't want to shut the door. She's like, don't shut it. So she pushes the button, and it's Mrs. Boo. And she's like, Rosso. I'm like, what? She goes, a judge just reduced your sentence to 25 years, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? So I wasn't looking for the word sentence reduction. Okay, that wasn't what I would think. So my judge reduced my time to 25 years and then gave me time credit. He did some kind of little voodoo stuff. I mean, it's legit, but I mean, the way he did it, I didn't expect. And so then it was like I was standing, and then it was like I had to sit down. I caught the chair, and then I just like put my head down, and I was trying to think like 25 years. When am I going to get out? I don't have good time. Wait a minute, I don't need good time. That was all going through my head, and it was just like it didn't matter. But I knew it would be the next day. Yeah, I mean, I just felt
So
insured.
literally, when they talked to you, they basically said you're going home in a day.
No, she said we have to compute the time. We have to figure it
Right.
out and contact Washington. But we're going to be on it tomorrow, and we promise we'll be. Those girls, Miss Boo and Miss Hall, were there at 6 a.m. doing my shit. They cried. But Miss Hall, because she was new and she had never experienced something like that. So you got a girl in her mid 20s probably, and she sees a guy. So I was the white rep in that unit, so I had to deal with staff a lot. So she didn't like. So she wouldn't let anybody else do bed moves. So like if you were a white guy and you wanted a bed move, that's how that administration played it. So I had to talk to her quite a bit. So I've known her like 2 months at that time, Miss Blue for over a year. And yeah, and Miss Blue they were just like, wow, it was a trip. It was a trip,
From that day you went to see them, how much longer did you have to stay in prison?
Oh, the next day. And let me tell you, so I was going to get out at like 11 o'clock, right? As I pack your bags, I gave all my stuff away. Well, not all. I mean, I've got big boxes of stuff, legal and just writing. I've been writing for years. So right when I get to the door, these two kids from St. Louis start fighting. Boom. And then get in a fight. And I stayed there till like 3:30. Yeah. So I had to stay like 4 or 5 more hours with nothing in my cell, no radio, like just my thoughts, and the family was trying to rush, or not family, Marta, my wife, she was in Spain still, and she used to come over here every 6 months or so. And she met a couple that owned a taxi cab service, a religious couple. And the guy's name was Steve. He picked me up and he waited out there for like 4 or 5 hours. And then he did the video. If you ever go to my YouTube channel, the first video is of me getting out. And they were like, you can't video him. And he's like, yeah, whatever, because the guy was just getting out. Yeah.
And when you got out, where did they take you from that point? Did you go to someone's house, or did you go to a halfway house?
I went and had pizza, thin crust pizza with him. He's like, what do you want? I want pizza. Then we went and drove by like parks. That sounds creepy, I know. Parks just like around Terra. Yeah. Tomo, see, look what he did. He drove by parks. And really, hey, listen, no bullshit. He's like, Rob, look, how long has it been since you see the kids play? I mean, so yeah, but it was a trip, and we drove around Terra, and then my friend Brent, who he was my cellie when I got life. He has done well for himself in construction and started a foundation called SCARS, Saving Children, Reviving Souls, and he got a hotel for me to stay in for the night. And then he came down, and he's got a couple of vets. So we cruised from Indiana back to Arkansas, and I stayed at his house for a couple of days. He brought the vet, so it was really cool. And
did you go outside and take in the fresh air and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. So that night, so they gave me a debit card when I got out of prison. I've never used one. I've only had cash my entire life.
Yeah.
My first wife, we had like a bank account and like a checkbook, but. And I think I had like an ATM card when I was a kid, but it was so like I didn't know codes and pins, and so yeah, I went and walked at nighttime by myself, just around the town. Now I was used to going from like the prison to the hospital because I used to go out every 3 months for cancer stuff. So I knew the town as far as a couple streets. So I walked, and then Brent came late that night or the next morning. And his daughter ordered me Grubhub from Arkansas, which that was like blew my mind, like the whole Grubhub thing. I didn't even know what it was. And then the next day, I went to Starbucks and had my first Starbucks. Overrated, but whatever.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's why everybody's fat and broke.
So let me get into another a really big part of your life. And this is the difference. We're having a real interview now. Last time it was kind of insane.
All
And I
right.
didn't ask you these questions, so this is why I'm asking you these
Sure.
questions. Now, your wife, Marta,
Yes,
she definitely looks like she's out of your leg.
she is.
But she, how did you meet her, and how long was it that you were talking to her, and what led to marriage?
Okay. So it was like August the 10th of 2010. And here's what happened. The Federal Bureau of Prisons was getting core links, so email access at the time, right? Core links is a system that they use so inmates can have direct email access to approved contacts. So we were just getting that in Butner. At the time, I was writing, I hadn't started writing like professionally. Oh, I was writing Madoff stuff, so I was getting a lot of media attention. And I was getting letters from girls. Like, there's crazy girls out there that like lifers and guys on death row. And I was getting like these crazy letters like, I have a connection to you. And, and so I was getting stalker mail. And I was always one of these guys that don't have a girl in prison. If you've seen one of my last videos, I had a nurse like literally try to throw some on me. and I said, I can't. And he watched the video. That happened just like that. So enter Marta. So my sister Tina, the one I'm having issues with, she was up. Let's put it nicely. She was up playing on my Facebook page that she created for me and got a friend request. And the friend request was from a girl from Spain. This girl from Spain, Marta, was dating a guy. Used to model for Porsche magazine. Anyway, like had a lot of money, and then now she has me. But so he talked her into going to see a guy speak out against the death penalty. Juan Melendez. He was in Florida death row for 17 years and got out, and he tours the world speaking against the death penalty. Right. And she was a studying psychologist, and her brother, she has an older brother who was always infatuated with American movies, and they like crime stuff. So she decided that day she was going to reach out to get into the mind of an American criminal and help the American criminal, right? So she asked my sister, can I talk to your brother, blah, blah, blah. So the next day I call home. My mom says, Robert, call Tina. That's my sister. Some girl's trying to reach you. So I called her and she's like, Robert, there's this girl from Spain. She's awesome. I talked to her for 3 hours. She wants to talk to you. And I'm just like, well, and she's beautiful. I'm like, well, absolutely not. Okay, you just killed it. No, I didn't want to even go down that path, and because I had life without parole. You know what I mean?
Right.
And she's like, no, she's got a boyfriend. He's like real good looking, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? So what does she want? She wants to help you. She wants to write Obama a letter. I started laughing. I'm like, oh God, poor girl. So she said she's 24 at the time. She's 16 years younger than me. So, okay. So mom was the first email. My sister was the second. Marta was the third. And we just started a correspondence, and eventually escalated. She started taking control of website stuff and doing stuff for me. There was times we fell off and didn't talk for a minute, but in 2013 at the end, she found out either she also corresponded with some of my friends and family. So she wanted to learn how to speak English better, So like I had like an ex-fiance she was talking to, an ex-girlfriend she was talking to, my daughter, like I hooked her up with my family, friends, all that. So somebody, maybe me, maybe them, said that I was going to get out. And what that meant was I knew somebody who knew Barack Obama, who used to go to the White House. I filed a sentence commutation. It didn't go to the pardons office. It went to Obama personally, who then gave it in a letter that he got from me. And it went to the general counsel's office in the White House. And they looked me up. They pulled my stuff and said, oh, hell no, we're not letting him out. We're not letting him out now. We'll let him out when we leave. But I mean, look, he's got violence, gang ties. I've got Gambino connections, Colombo connections. I mean, that's all in my file, So, I mean, they actually put that stuff. So, okay, cool. I'm going to get out at the end of Obama's term. The guy that I knew was the president of the labor union, one of the labor unions. Okay. So when you see him talk to like, what was the Trump guy? There's like usually 3 or 4 guys. He was in that crowd. Okay. So Obama was supposed to push the Keystone Pipeline through. He didn't. When he didn't, my guy goes on to Fox News at 5:30 in the morning on like a Saturday or Sunday and says Barack Obama is the worst president, blah, blah, blah. And I was up that morning and I had just taken some Oxy, to be honest. I don't even know if I've told my wife this day. So and that was like, so I went in cycles, and I'm out and I just pop my pills and trying to feel the warm fuzzy come on, drinking coffee. By the way, we didn't have locks on those doors in C block. And I look and saw this and I spit my coffee out. I like I knew it was bad. And sure enough, I called home. My dad said, "Oh, that's just politics. Don't worry about it." My sister, who was running the labor's union out in California, said the same thing. And a week later, I get the notice saying you're hit. You ain't getting out. We're not letting you out. So by that time, Marta had already come to the United States, started visiting me. I proposed to her. She left her boyfriend and started coming to visit me. And then there was a decision that had to be made after I didn't get out. And it was a bitch, because I didn't want this girl like waiting. You know, she's young. I didn't know she always said she didn't want children, but I didn't know. So I cut her loose for 4 months. Told her to go out and get her freak on. I taught like go, and she stuck, and she said no, and then we just said okay. Then the next step was, let's get married. We'll bring you here. You can live in Terre Haute. She was going to move to Terre Haute so she can come visit me on the weekends. And I had in my head that can probably last realistically 3 to 5 years at the most. That came with an expiration date in my mind. If I didn't make it out, we would have been dead, because COVID would have killed us, because we couldn't get visits. And those visits were everything. Just when you're hanging on like that and you're in a long distance relationship, which is tough. And I don't recommend it. Even though I scored and it seems like a fairy tale story from afar, I don't recommend it. And she wouldn't either. It was like a 7-year, she hung on for 7 years. She's got a conservative family. Like, she didn't even tell them until I was out about me. And they flipped off, but now it's really good. It's really good now with them. I haven't met them face to face, but yeah.
And now you're married, right? And
yeah, we got married in 2017. So after we made a decision, okay, well, come on, you come here, because our relationship was at a crossroads. What are we going to do? 6 months was too much, so come here. She threw away her psychology career and everything. Like, this girl's thrown away. Like, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, when you look back in things now, would you say to yourself, "Wow, I can't believe I'm at this point in my life"?
Yeah, Lee. Look, it's bittersweet right now. No bullshit. Because I'm an open book. I say too much about myself on my YouTube channel. So it's bittersweet, because I never would have thought I'm a family guy. I never would have thought that I wouldn't have the relationships with my family that I had, or I'd be in this situation, or that, I would be off balance at times because of this. So I've never had like anxiety. I've never felt like I couldn't function at times brain wise. And it started after my dad died and this family stuff, So it's bittersweet. On one hand, it's like great. On the other hand, it's like not what I expected, not what my wife expected. And there's like a lot of struggle with that. But she believes in me, and I just have to produce at some point in time here soon.
And being on YouTube is really no joke. You've been in prison. How would you compare it to being on YouTube?
So I will say this, and I don't. It's cool. It's cool. Last week, the week before, she came home and she doesn't like the mob, me in the mob tube skits and roles. She's like she's not a hippie, but she's like so spiritual kind of person. She meditates at night with her palms up and little crystals and all that. And she says I bring bad energy. So that me doing that is like bad energy. And I get it, because what it is I'm not focusing on her, because my head's all like, thinking about this, and I'm laughing to myself. Oh, I'm going to do this. And don't be a Jimmy. Like, I made up with that. And I get calls constantly about the Jimmy, like all these people reaching out. So it's a lot for her. She gets it. She sees that it's kind of worked for me on gut, but not the happiest camper. And I'm man enough to say this, FBS, she's mad at me one night about it, and she's like, he's right. I'm like, he's what? No, he's not. I forgot what it was. And she's like, you did this. Look at all these people that are hating on you. Look at all, like, if you push Convict Inc. one day, there was like 4 or 5 channels that were just smashing me. She's like, you did this. You created this. I'm like, all I did was fight back. You know?
Yes, and you know what? I did the same thing, and I got 4 or 5 channels today coming at me. That's just part of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, you did. That's
you got to have the mentality to deal with it.
Yeah.
YouTube is a funny thing. It's you got your ups and downs. You'll have your period, no problems, 3-4 months, and then you'll go through that. Then you'll hear people say, "Oh, he's done." It never works that way.
Right.
It's like, you know.
Yeah, like yesterday, like me apologizing to FBS for bringing up his daughter. Man, you should, like, I didn't look at comments, like, because I knew what was going to come. That came from a personal place that had something to do with family issues, and me reflecting and saying, hold on, Eve, like, I knew she was older. I knew she wasn't a child, right? But I never thought of that video being about her. It was about him. And although I've had one of his friends reach out to me and say it's not true, and a couple guys that watch him and watch me say it's not true, I'm not saying that the story's not true. I'm not. I'm saying that it was wrong. I feel, me personally, and I know people that are mad at me for it, I felt like I went below the belt on that one, and I do not regret apologizing. Anytime I apologize, there's been four or retracted. So Joey Testa, I said something about him doing heroin. He didn't do heroin with me. He gave me pills. He did do it, but that wasn't with me. And one of our friends, guys that we did time with, reached out to me and said, Rob, I know you with your issues with Joey and you're not, how you feel, but correct that for him, correct that for him. No problem. Jimmy, the girl in the hotel room, was not afraid of Jimmy because I said that. She was afraid Tommy was going to do something to Jimmy. I corrected that. I said,
so that whole thing in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's 100% true?
Oh, 1,000%. No, like it's true. It's true. That's true. That's true. Yes. Look, no, that's true. Yes.
Okay. Good. You never came off of that. So,
No, that was, yes. Yeah.
And so are you surprised by how much attention that these sites do get? Like you got the prison genre, you got the mob genre. Like people say, oh, the mob genre keeps growing and growing. It's getting bigger. But the problem is you got so many people in here doing silly stuff that has nothing to do with the mob. So,
yeah, that's totally true. But look, it's the people that watch us too. I think we feed off that at times. I'm guilty of it. And sure, and look at how awesome really that YouTube is, though. Like, you can watch YouTube and you can correspond with the people that make the content. I mean, that's pretty awesome, really, right? So, go ahead.
Well, that's why when people say, "Oh, YouTube wants 30%," I tell them this: they're letting you use their platform, their TV equipment, basically, and you're literally making your own TV show. But it's called now the internet. You can literally watch your show on a big screen TV, something that of 10 years ago you would have thought impossible.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing. But do we use it for the wrong reasons at times? Like, look, I thought I was going to be a writer when I came out. I thought I was going to start doing, because I had all the media contacts. I couldn't write because of a thing with the nonprofit. I was bound to disclosure. So that kind of boxed me in. My wife was the one that's all she watches is Spanish YouTube, She has certain things, all positive shit, and it drives me crazy. So anyway, she's the first one that says, no, you need to do this and tell stories this way. Even with me bouncing, by the way, today was therapy day. I have to go once a week, probation, plus I liked, and the lady was like, you bounce a lot. I'm like, go look at my YouTube, Jack. That's how I am. So my wife was the one that said, start doing this. And when I started Convict Inc., I had that name from way back on the website. I put it up, and I was going to do a chronological order, like day by, like a prison diary, start to finish. I started journaling in prison. You know, I started writing in about 4 years in, and started writing like a book about Leavenworth, and then it just grew. I made notes over time. Yeah, but like I didn't know this, and I didn't know. Believe me, notes. If I'd have known this, all that, I would have like found out every little mob story in the world. You know what I mean?
Oh, without a doubt, especially if you knew guys like Persico. I mean, that
Patty the horse.
can you imagine what's in Persico's mind that you could have gotten out, that you are made off? You know, it's these are guys that people find very interesting. These are guys that they're infamous but famous. I mean, I don't know. They're just, you know. But anyway, listen, I appreciate the fact that you came on and let me do this interview, because
Cool.
Our last interview, I felt like it got out of control. We didn't really have an interview. It was more bickering and silliness. So I'm just going to end the interview here, because I had you 1 hour. People want to watch the whole interview. They always say, Lee, don't make it over an hour.
Right.
So there's so many. Listen, I know your life is full of stuff that I could sit here for 5-6 hours and we would just touch the tip of the iceberg. That's why I tried to get as much out of you as I could in the last hour. I appreciate you coming on here. And I'm going to end this now. You stay on, Robert. I'm going to end this. And people, I hope that you like this. Please sub to the channel. And I appreciate that Robert Uso came in. And would you like to say anything before we leave?
I want to say one thing. So Benny Geritano's interview about active made guys is coming out, and more. That's coming soon. I've already got the recordings. I promised an attorney I was going to go through him so that they can respond. I also have I have to work out the details about of some correctional staff and some stories that are coming out about the BOP. I have to figure that out. The don't be a Jimmy stuff. I am every day I am moving forwards somewhat. Okay. So that is like today I've contacted somebody. There's people that want to put some money into it. So I'm narrowing that down. The truth is it's just me, and I'm almost tech illiterate. My wife helps on the weekends, not during the weekdays. So I'm trying to, figure all that out. And my days are getting busier, which is a good thing for me. But I've got some stuff coming up, and a series about the Aryan Brotherhood. I'm going to do a weekly thing about the Aryan Brotherhood.
So you got a lot of things lined up. And what I'm going to do at the end of this, just so people know, you can check underneath this video. I'm going to have your website up. I'm going to have your page up, your YouTube page. I'll have your information down there below this when I'm done with this. I already got it taken out. If there's anything, I appreciate you coming here, and
no problem.
And hopefully we'll be able to do another interview about another part of your life, because it sounds very interesting.
Yeah, the part where I live happily ever after and I mellow out. And
yeah, well, guys like us, we don't do that. When we live happily ever after, when we're dead. It's like it just never ends. I'm 60, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to slow down now. I'm doing YouTube. I'm being attacked all the time. Even no matter where I am or whose side I'm on, you have people that hate you. That's just it.
Everybody should. I don't take sides. I mean, I don't.
It's the people in the chat rooms. They like to take sides. They have favorite people. It's
sure.
It's that way. And that's, listen, I respect them all, no matter which side they take, whether they like me or hate me. But listen, I'm going to end this. Thank you, people, very much.
All right.
And I'm going to put also my Cash App down here if you want to donate for me doing this. I would appreciate it. There's also going to be a little heart below this you could donate through too. Okay. Thank you, people. Hit that sub button.